everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today on this day, I have with me a gentleman by the name of Willie Carpenter. He is the owner and operator of APA Home Inspections based down in South Carolina, and he's going to give us some comfort and some knowledge about the whole home inspection process, and I'm looking forward to learning that today. But first and foremost, as I always do, Mr. Carpenter, I take a quick moment to pause. Say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. So I truly appreciate you setting aside this time in your day to sit down and chat with me. And with that, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's kind of get into this. Now, I want to start off over the years, as I have kind of roamed around and talked to people that are in various stages of the home buying process. A lot of times people seem to get home inspector and home appraiser confused. They use the term interchangeably. So I'm wondering, as we start off, could you share the difference in the two roles and where they play out in the home buying process?
Sure. Now, with a home appraiser, the job of the home appraiser is to basically give you what the home is worth on a fair open market. Okay, so the home appraiser will come out. He will, take pictures. He takes some of the same pictures that I would as a home inspector. However, what they do is they analyze. They take a look at all of the other houses that are being sold in the same neighborhood for about the same size house, the square footage, the number of bedrooms. They take all of that information into account. And they tell the banks, normally they tell the banks, okay, this is what the house is worth right now on an open, fair market. Okay. My job as a home inspector is I actually go into the house itself and I tell you what's wrong with the house prior to you buying the house. Okay. So the appraiser deals with the value of the house. I deal with the actual house itself. Gotcha. What's wrong with it? What's going on? What do we need to repair? Those are the areas that I focus on as the home inspector.
Okay. So which one usually do we see first? Do you arrive on the scene first, or does the appraiser usually arrive on the scene first?
Funny you should ask that. I just had an inspection last week where the appraiser and myself, we were there at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes we are there at the same time. Most of the time, I would say at least 95% of the time, I never see the appraiser. They are always mostly there either prior to me coming through or sometimes after I leave, but I never see them. So it kind of all depends on your particular team.
Okay, gotcha.
That timing. Mm-hmm.
So the home inspector, when you arrive in the home, what are you looking at? What features of the home are you inspecting?
Okay. Now, with me, with a home inspector, I inspect homes of all phases. Just like you see behind me, this is a house that is being built. This is what we call a new construction house.
Gotcha.
I inspect all phases. But normally, if the house is already built, when I step on the property, the first thing I'm looking at is the outside, the shell of the house or the siding. I'm looking at if it's a brick house, if it's vinyl siding, if it's wood siding. I'm examining the siding. And then I look at the roof. I do walk on roofs. I get up there, kind of walk around and see what's going on. Make sure that the shingles or whatever roof covering that you're using, I want to make sure that it's functioning well, and that it's not old to the fact where it's simply just not doing its job. So my job is to make sure that your systems are doing their job. So I start with the outside, the shell, the roofing. I also look at the ground. I want to make sure that you don't have to swim to your front door if it rains. I want to make sure that there's not any, one of those ditches in the front yard. So I look at all of that. And to give you a good assessment for what's going on the house as a whole. On the outside first. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as the buyer is there on the property with you doing the home inspection, do we have the ability to kind of bug you and Is that going to be expensive? How much is that? Is this a no go item, or do you know anybody can help us? Do we have the option to kind of,
Yes.
interact with you?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, I encourage that. I think that if you are in a home buying process as a home buyer, you should be there with your inspector,
Okay.
because that inspector is going to be able to show you things firsthand that you may not understand once you see it on paper in the report.
Okay.
So I definitely encourage anyone that's buying a house that, yes, be there with your inspector. Me personally, I encourage it. I love to have people come out and ask questions. I had a home inspection today, new construction, houses already completed, young couple, married couple, had the baby, the whole
Oh,
nine. We're all walking through the house together, and they're asking questions. I'm giving, and a lot of times, me personally as an inspector, I give the buyer more information than the builder would in some of these cases. I walk them through. I say, look, this is your water heater. This is where you turn the power off of in the event
gosh.
something
Okay.
happens.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's always a good idea to be there right with your inspector so you can ask those questions. Now, some inspectors, they don't like that. Some inspectors are like, I would rather nobody be in the house, because sometimes the questions can slow down the process.
Okay.
Because we have a certain amount of time that we try to be in and out the house. Me
Okay.
personally, my time is about an hour to 45 minutes to 2.5 hours. Depending on what's in the house, that's my normal time there.
Okay.
But of course, if you're answering questions and kind of giving the tutorials, it could take a little longer. But me personally, I don't mind spending a few minutes. If I don't have a tight schedule that day, I'll be more than happy to help out and answer any questions that I have, because I know that at the end of the inspection, you're going to talk about how I made you feel during
Yes.
the inspection. So
Okay.
that's what I focus on, how you feel after it's all over.
Awesome. A little extra. Now, I'm assuming that being a home inspector is not for the faint of heart. You guys have to go into crawl spaces, and there's
Yes.
it might not be the most pleasant of jobs at times.
Yeah, a lot of people, because I also teach I have a home inspection school,
Okay.
and I teach it, and a lot of people are deterred when they find out that, yeah, we're going to have to go under some houses. We're going to have to, face some spiders. Some people are arachnophobic. Uh,
Yeah.
we've got, but I can honestly say, out of all of the thousands of houses that I've inspected, I can honestly say that I've never seen a live snake under a house. Uh, Nothing, you know what I'm saying? I saw the snake skin, uh,
Uh,
but not the snake itself. So yeah, as a home inspector, you do have to kind of have a strong stomach there. You've got to put your brave cap on, and go under some houses and into some attics as well. But as long as you do everything safely, you'll come out okay.
Awesome, awesome. So it's not the job for everybody. I see.
Yeah.
Now, let me build on something, because you're there in a new construction home and you talked about it. And I think that's something that you really, for the layperson, you just kind of don't think about. You think new construction, why would you need a home inspector? Everything is new. And
Right.
sometimes with these subdivisions, people go in, they buy the plot of land, and then a year later they see the home. So do you have any recourse? Like, okay, I bought this plot of land a year ago, but now this home is defective, and you come in and say, no, this is a no-go. How does that all work together?
So you're saying that if the house was already built,
Well,
uh,
no, I paid for my plot of land. I bought in a subdivision or whatever. I paid for my plot of land,
mhm.
and then the house is built. Where do you come? Do you inspect the home somewhere along the way before I move in? Or do I have the option to say, like, well, he says, Mr. Carpenter says that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. I don't want the house now. Do I have that option?
Yes, yes. Now, yeah, you do. Now,
Okay.
what I do is I inspect in all phases.
Oh, okay.
I inspect when they are actually on the property, digging the trenches for the
Oh,
foundation.
okay.
I'm there. After the concrete is poured for the foundation, I'm there inspecting the concrete to make sure everything is
Okay.
curing properly.
Got you.
So and what we have here behind me is what we call a pre-drywall phase. This is me.
Okay.
You see the studs up; those studs are
Okay.
there. And what happens next is they install the insulation in the drywall. Um,
Okay.
but before they do any of that, I come in and I inspect at this phase. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for things that the builder may not think is a big deal, but it could be a big deal once everything is put together.
Okay.
So my keenness, what I'm looking for is a lot more specific than say just a regular builder. And you bring up a good point. A lot of people will choose not to do a home inspection on a house that's being built because they're like, well, the contractor, he has his own inspectors.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I need to have? But you have to understand that those inspectors have the contractor's best interest at heart, not yours. So I'm
Gotcha.
coming in with your best interests at heart. And that
Okay.
means if I see things like they're using moldy rafters, I'm going to call that out. I'm going to call out the things that they would probably cover up that could cause you problems later on. So,
Gotcha.
and
Gotcha.
that is why it's so important that even if it's a new construction, you have an inspector inspect every phase, and that
Okay.
inspector is going to be working for you and not the builder.
Good tip. Good tip. So do you have the option as a buyer after we get the home inspection report and Mr. Carpenter tells us this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Do we have the option to say, oh, I don't want the house anymore? Nope.
You always have the option of backing out of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
But normally what happens is once I present you with the report, because I will present the contractor the same report as well,
Okay.
what they normally do is they rush to correct whatever I point out.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what they do. They will go out, they will fix it. If it's something that they feel that it's not a violation of code, that it's not a big issue, then we'll negotiate on those things. But for the most part, all of the major issues that I point out, and I say, you know what, this is not right. We need to deal with this now. They
Okay.
will fix it because they don't want you to back out from the contract.
That's some
Uh,
money.
they're going to want to try to keep you happy. So if your inspector is saying this needs to be fixed, they're going to get right on it right there, or offer you a realistic explanation as to why they're not doing it.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Now you mentioned sometimes people don't want to get home inspections when it's a new construction.
Right.
But I'm wondering about something that's already there. Is it ever safe to forgo the home inspection? I mean, is there ever like, okay, I can kind of not even worry about it?
Um, Me personally, now that I have seen everything that I've seen as far as mistakes and problems that come from overlooking things, I would never suggest anyone make a home purchase without having a home inspector come out.
Okay.
Even if you are putting a house on the market, I suggest you have a home inspector come out and
Oh,
inspect it prior to you putting it on the
hmm,
market. Why do I say that? That is what we call a pre-listing inspection. And the
okay.
reason that's important is because you don't want to be caught off guard by any problems that you didn't know about that someone else's inspector pointed out. You want
Good.
to get a jump on that before they do. So it is very important that even if you are listing a house, that you get the house thoroughly inspected first so that you have a chance to fix all of the problems by your people. Because if another inspector comes in, he's going to require that licensed contractors do it, and those guys can be very expensive. However, if I fix the problem, if I've got some knowledge, I can fix it myself. The
Oh,
inspector never knows that it was a problem, so it's so much better if you can just have the house inspector even prior to putting it on the market.
okay, okay. So, all right, all right. So, another thing that I saw that you do is mold testing. Is that part of the home inspection or is that an added on piece?
That is an added on service.
Okay.
That is called what we call an ancillary service. That's a service that I'm certified to do that, just so I could add value to what I am doing and I can add that on. I
Okay.
do have packages that
Okay.
include that. Yeah, you can, if you scroll down, you'll see that I do include the what we call air quality testing.
Okay.
I do have that package as an add-on, but it is, well, I do have it as a package, but I do have it as an add-on as well. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Carpenter and APA home inspections is top of the line. We already know that, right? Um, but we don't always have access to Mr. Carpenter. So what can we say? This is a bad inspection. I probably need to go get somebody else. Are there some telltale signs we should be looking for?
So you're saying that you had someone come out, they did the inspection,
Mhm.
but there were some things that they missed.
Or we assuming because we're not knowledgeable. So
Right.
yeah, what should we be looking for? Like maybe we didn't get the best service.
Okay. Um, Many times if you hired a home inspector, and once, let's say that you move into the house and the home inspector said that there wasn't a problem with the AC, but you turn on the AC and there's no AC. All
Mm,
right. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call your agent, and your agent is going to get in contact with that home inspector and ask the home inspector, did you see ABC? Or if, what's going on there. Um, I've heard that happen before.
okay.
Now, what happened now in our state, in South Carolina, I just want to, in
Mhm.
our state, if a home inspector, if you are a buyer, and let's say I come out to your house and I miss something and you have to pay to have it repaired, all right? The only thing that the home inspector is liable for in the state of South Carolina is to pay you back the cost of the inspection. That's all I'm liable for in the state of South Carolina. Now,
But I just had to pay $1,000 to fix the air conditioner though.
yeah, that's unfortunate, but according to the law in South, now, like I said, you're in a different state, so it could be a little different there. But in South Carolina, I'm only liable to give you back what you paid me for the inspection. Now, you know, some inspectors will be, you know what, I missed that, I messed up, my bad. Let me contribute something to you to help
Mhm.
with the cost. Some inspectors will do that. Me personally, I will do it. I have had inspectors that have gone on jobs and have missed things, and the people have called me back, and I said, here, let me give you something to
Okay.
contribute to that cost. Me personally, to err is human. Sometimes things are missed, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure I do right by you.
Okay.
So I am going to offer something to try to say, let me help you out with that expense, because that is something that I should have caught.
Good
Uh,
customer
during
service.
the inspection.
Good customer service. Like I said, we can't have Mr. Carpenter everywhere in all 50 states, but we hope we
Right.
could. So I just had a thought real quick. Um, do you check for things like trees and lawns and say this is going to potentially impact your plumbing? Is that part of the home inspection or is it just the building?
No, anything that affects the functionability or the functioning of the house, anything that's around the house, that includes trees, tree branches, roots. I comment on all of that for someone to come out to take care of that. There have been many houses that I've inspected where tree branches were literally growing onto the roof or onto the house.
Uh-huh.
That's always a bad idea, because it doesn't allow the water to properly evaporate off of the roof, and
Okay.
it can cause the roof to deteriorate more rapidly.
Okay.
Okay, so that's always a bad idea. I have inspected houses where the trees were planted too close to the foundation of the house,
Mm,
and as the tree grew, it damaged the foundation. And
mm,
I saw that in the inspection. So yeah, I would call that out. Anything, any tree, vegetation, anything that's around that house that would have an adverse effect on how that house functions, we have to put that in the report so it can be taken care of prior to you moving into the
okay.
house.
Okay. Now, I'm just thinking a lot of in today's world, a lot of us that are homeowners, we're getting all of these unsolicited text messages and phone calls about, I want to buy your property, I want to buy your property. Are home inspectors involved in those purchases as well, or no?
Yes.
Oh,
Normally, if someone says, I want to buy your property, they've already have inspectors that are going to come out and investigate that property and tell that buyer what's going on with your house. Very seldom will the buyer themselves come out. They will
okay.
send someone out on their behalf to inspect the house and to tell them what is going on. Even the bank will have the same inspector as well. They'll have someone like me who's educated, trained to come out and to inspect the house just to make sure that everything is where it should be.
Okay, awesome. Now, you mentioned earlier that you do have a home inspector school in South Carolina, and I know each state has different laws, different regulations, but in South Carolina, what are the requirements to get your home inspector credentials and maintain your credentials over the years?
Well, one of the first things that they require is that you go to a school that has been approved by the licensing board.
Okay,
And my school has been approved by the South Carolina Licensing Board.
okay,
So you after you go through my class, it's 120 hours of
okay,
training, and I get that done in about a week. And the last 3 days we meet together just like this on a Zoom
okay,
class. But we get the 120 hours done. I give the students the certificate of completion. They then take that certificate and turn it back into the board along with their filled out application. And
okay,
then the board will allow them to take the exam. All
okay,
right. Now, once they pay the fees and they take the exam and they pass the exam, then they are licensed home inspectors in the state of South Carolina. Um,
okay,
Currently, we are not required to continue education
okay,
in home inspection. So once we've got our license, that's it. That may change later, but that's for where it is right now. Once we are licensed, we are licensed. The only thing that we're required to do is to pay our fee
okay.
every other year.
Okay. And I do want to let the audience know that, and I think I read this correctly, you and correct me if I'm wrong. Real estate industry construction, this is in your family line for a long time, right?
Yes, my grandfather was
Okay.
a general contractor.
Okay.
And he started the business with his sons, W.E. Carpenter and Sons Home Improvement, and that was in 1964. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, he started it, and my father and his brothers, my uncles, they came up under my grandfather. I'm the grandson, and my grandfather was
Awesome.
my mentor.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he birthed me into it, and I got my specialty contractor's license under him. And then that was in 2004 when I got mine.
Awesome.
And then for the past 7 or 8 years, I've been licensed as a home inspector as well.
Awesome.
So I just kind of combined everything. But yeah, it's in my blood. Me being in a situation, I'm right at home. I
Right
feel
at home.
right here. Yeah, this
Right at
this
home.
it's in my blood. So yeah, this is what I love doing. And I'm
Awesome.
also a real estate agent as well.
Okay, so you know the ins and outs all the way around.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, awesome. So, and I'm assuming there's a younger generation that you're grooming to as well.
I've got my son. I've got 3 sons of my own, and I got
Okay,
2 daughters.
okay,
My daughters are following, their mom with the hair business,
okay,
and my sons. Well, my oldest son, he's in college, and my youngest son, he works with me all the time. He's with me here at the house, and I am grooming him.
awesome.
I can't make them
Yeah,
go into the family business, but I can at least give them an option.
yes,
They have an
yes.
option.
So we have this to
So,
fall back on. We have this to fall back on.
of
All
course.
righty, Mr. Carpenter. So before I ask you my random question, I do want to ask you this. Um, when a potential buyer is, or a potential person trying to sell their home hires a home inspector, what is the worst case scenario where we need to kind of maybe go the other direction? What item in the house is is the most traumatic?
Okay. Um, if from my opinion and my experience, what I've seen that are the deal breakers
Hmm.
are normally issues that deal with the foundation.
Okay.
Foundation issues are some of the most expensive
Okay.
issues to have repaired.
Okay.
So if I go in, do an inspection, and I notice that there is extensive foundation issues, normally they walk away, because foundation issues are, that's the foundation. That's what the house is standing on.
Yeah.
If my foundation is faulty, it's just a matter of time for everything else to begin to fail as well.
Gotcha.
So it's always my experience that foundation issues are
Mm.
normally deal breakers.
Um, I have to look at my homeowner's insurance, but I don't even know if foundation is covered in the homeowner's policy. I mean, if you're just out of pocket for that, or I'm
Yeah,
not.
a lot of times foundation issues are, those things are totally dependent on your inspector.
Okay.
That insurance company is totally relying on your inspector, or if they have an inspector, they need to find out right then if there is a foundation issue, because if it is, it could cause your insurance to go up, or they may say, I'm not in a position to insure you
In the first.
because
Okay.
of the condition of the
Gotcha.
foundation of this house.
Gotcha. Good information. Well, I appreciate it. The whole home buying process and everything is just so stressful for everybody. And there's so many players involved in the whole process. So at least we have an understanding of this element. So
Yeah.
I thank you. I thank you for that. I'm going to ask you my random question, and then I'm going to ask you to give us the information if we're ever in South Carolina looking for a house and we need a home inspector.
Sure.
Or if we want to, start creepy crawling around in attics and crawl spaces, maybe we can take the class. So,
Okay.
so let's see what we've got here for the random question here. Okay, how often do you look at your phone every day? How do you estimate?
Wow. Man, if my wife were here, she'd answer that for you. My wife just beat me up the other night about this. I look at my phone. I have a phone that actually records how long I'm looking at the phone.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's hours per week. Hours. I spend hours looking at that screen. So I can't tell you how many times a day. And it's beginning to be where I need to find a way to cut back on it. But and like I explained to my wife, this is an internet-based business. I get my business from and things are constantly changing.
Yes.
So, that's my excuse, but I need to do better.
You need to do better. Well, yeah, I guess you got your home inspection reports you do on your.
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing. Okay, that's one thing we can have on the phone, but we're spending probably way more time than that, perhaps.
Right, and then you put TikTok up in there. Oh man.
Okay, well, no, we're TikToking home inspection videos.
Yes.
So that's my excuse, right?
That's right. That is right. Yeah,
All righty, sir. So please tell us how we connect with you, possibly if we're in the South Carolina area and want to get a home inspection or we want to take a class. Tell us how we find you.
Sure. You can go to my website at www.apahi.net. That's apahi.net. That is my website. My local working number is 843-801-4098. That's 843-801-4098. You can reach me there, text me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. I am on TikTok. I am on YouTube. Just look us up as APA Home Inspections. I have many videos on home inspections where I take little snippets and little teaching points. I have that on YouTube and Instagram. So you can follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, follow me there. I try to make myself as available as possible. You can Google the company. I'm there as well. So yeah, we try to be out there. It's all about getting the trust of the people. And the more that I put out there, the more it builds the trust. And that's what keeps our business going right there.
Awesome, awesome. So we can keep this generational business going. I love it. I love it. Like I said, because the home buying process is so stressful. So if you have one element that gives you kind of peace of mind, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I mean, your part is so essential because, hey, now I know I can move into this home and the roof is not going to fly off. So
there you go. Exactly.
So, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and explain some things to me and my audience today. And I just love hearing about the generational business. I think that is so important, especially in our community. Yes. So I continued success to you, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. That's all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.